a FishTales preDCS soundboard. You can see I've changed all the 47 microfarad caps, including these two in the middle, 100 microfarad cap there, and none of the tantalums were exhibiting a problem, but I did change the two that were to the right of these two big 4700 microfarad caps that I've replaced. The driver board, I put an easy SBC 5-volt regulator in that the client was noting that on power up, power down, his machine was making an awful noise. I suspect that was just the pop noise, but these things generally prevent that. C5, as usual, the headers for the power in, the headers for the power out, and the general illumination. C4 in the middle of the board, C2 over here. Let's do a quick test of this board pair. And then I have this dual H motor drive board to test also. I've done so many FishTales boards recently here. I can tell you that I shouldn't do that. Yeah, it's going to go through all 16 here, and then one over on the left side. That's the real motor where the balls lock up. Skip flasher for now. GI test. Yes, sirree, Bob, as my dad used to say. Okay, let's do some sound and music. I've got this turned down a little bit. Well, quite a bit. I don't like my games that loud. Plus, I have a little bit of hearing difficulty, so loud things are not fun anymore. Quite a few sound and speech call-outs on FishTales. Pretty popular game.
I tell you, it was this big. Biggest fish I'd ever seen. Whoa, you got one under, eh? Oh, yeah, that's a keeper. Get out of here. You've mastered deep sea fishing. Up to the top for double jackpot. Double jackpot. Super jackpot. It's a feeding frenzy. Whoa, you're not going to eat that, are you?
All right, sounds good. We'll do lamps and flashers at the same time. There's all the flashers and all the lamps. It looks odd on the video. It is not like that in real life here. They're all working properly. So that is it for the PowerDriver board and the sound board. Now I want to test this dual H drive motor board, which is found on Roadshow and on Corvette. And the way I'm going to do this is I have my formerly used sound board tester for Williams System 3 through 7 redeployed here as just a method of grounding certain signals that come into the dual H drive motor board. And I've got my logic probes connected. Now with nothing connected, it's reading 14.28 volts. Now this is the same as measuring for power at the coil. The voltage is always going to be there, but there is a transistor on the driver board which provides the ultimate path to ground. So that voltage being there right now is correct. So I'm going to flip the, is this the direction or the enable? I don't remember. Let's see. That was the enable one bit, and now let me flip the direction, and it shifts to minus 14 volts, which is the correct. Now let me get my operating these dip switches with one hand. Fortunately, I've got something on the back of this board to ground it from, or to isolate it from things. I use the back of old notebooks to do that. Move my probes over to the other lane here. We have minus 14.3 volts. When I enable and change the direction on here, it switches to 14 volts. So the ultimate problem on this particular board was that the LM339 was blown, so I cleanly removed it and installed a new part. I did replace these two capacitors, filter capacitors. Generally, the problem with this board is that these two caps leak, and there's traces underneath there. You can see that they get eaten away by the corrosion and severed, and then the board no longer works. I did find an interesting error in the schematic. L2 and L3 inductors were swapped in the schematic diagram, and I did make sure that all the solder joints for these combination tip 102, 107s are in fact connected. This board is kind of interesting in that it's sort of a mini lamp matrix where it uses tip 102s and tip 107s to route voltage. So we're good to go with all three of these, and I thank you so much for sending them.